Hello and welcome to another episode of Long Live Canada, episode 17. My name is Daniel Tyree. I'm the founder and chairman of the Dominion Society, but tonight I'm just your host, here to have another nice episode, talk with some of our supporters, have a nice evening, talk about some news and developments connected to our core issues, immigration, but also what's going on in the society, a peek behind the curtain, what's going on in these critical weeks leading up to DomCon, the Dominion Conference 2026, our inaugural national gathering of Canadian nationalists from coast to coast. If you haven't got your ticket already, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's going to take place Saturday, August 29th, last weekend of the month, fast approaching at this point. It's going to be a day of speeches, networking, and good times. We've already announced, this week we announced one of our excellent international speakers. Very exciting. Adding to a great list of speakers we already had in place. You'll hear from myself, Ken, leadership of the Dominion Society. You'll also hear from some prominent Canadian voices in the nationalist space. My friends John Carter, Fortisax. You'll see a peek behind the curtain at these fascinating men. But we'll also have a few other interesting speakers. Two more still to be announced. Sorry to rain on the parade to the people, to Luke, who's hoping to hear the last two speakers tonight. I'm not going to be telling you tonight. It'll be coming out in the next few days, the last two speakers. But we did announce a internationally renowned speaker earlier this week, a major figure, a founding figure in the remigration movement internationally. A bit of a friend of mine, Martin Sellner. He literally wrote the book on remigration, founder of the Remigration Institute, co-founder of the Save Europe Act. One of the most prominent voices in Austrian politics, one of the most prominent voices within the internationalist, nationalist movement. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a challenge working with lawyers, working carefully to make sure that he's able to enter the country. He's had these issues before. Lots of people wanting to keep him out. Any American speakers, says Grady Rich. Grady, do you know anything about me? Grady, do you know anything? Will we invite Americans to the Canadian nationalist event? Does that seem much like the Dominion Society to you? No. We're gonna have one more very exciting international speaker. He's not from America. That's my one clue. He's not from America. That's my one clue. Those announcements will be coming in the next few days. But I'm very excited to host Martin Sellner. I had the pleasure of meeting him, of hearing him speak during the Remigration Summit earlier this year. That he's co-founder of, co-organizer of. Very excited to bring him here so all of you lovely people can get the chance to enjoy his knowledge, his experience. There's few people in the space more experienced or knowledgeable on remigration, but also the metapolitical tactics in order to advance in strategy necessary to advance our movement. Now, my avid readers, my favorite loyalists, the guys that do the homework, that do the work to be well informed, they'll know that Martin, one of Martin's books is right there on my reading list. Regime Change from the Right, an important breakdown of the strategies and tactics, the logic that goes in to organizing an effective dissident right movement in current year. So I'd recommend that book very strongly. If you're interested in my reading list, if you're ready to do your homework, if you're ready to put the work in, you're not all just talk, you want to get informed, you want to get involved, please make sure to reach out to me by email, info@dominionsociety.ca. I'll make sure to send you the full reading list right away. We got some people asking in the chat, is it Angloid? Is it Keith Woods? These are good guesses. I cannot confirm or deny. Oh, it's Donald Trump attending DomCon? Maybe. No. I said no American, so it's not Trump. So there is all sorts of guesses coming in. You guys will have to wait patiently. There's two more exciting speakers that will be announced over the next few days. But I didn't just want to promote DomCon, although I do want to promote DomCon. There's only a limited amount of tickets remaining. I do recommend you get your ticket today before they run out, as we continue to announce these exciting speakers. Tickets are selling fast. So, oh man, I did not set up my screen share. I'm behind, boys, ladies and gentlemen. Head over to dominionsociety.ca/domcon. You can find all the necessary details. You can find out more about our lovely panel of speakers, and most importantly, you can buy your tickets. We have them $150 for the general admission, $250 for the VIP, which comes with some added benefits. Most importantly, there will be an intimate VIP reception at the end of the day with our VIP ticket holders as well as our speakers. So if you want some time to meet, to take a picture or something like that with our speakers, you have to get that VIP ticket to spend some time with us after the event. So please do head over, buy your ticket now. We do have some. You can wait until I announce the rest of the speakers, but we might sell out. It's getting close. So August 29th, the biggest event in Canadian nationalism in my lifetime. Hundreds of people from all over the country, some people coming in from other countries as well to view this event. It's going to put Canadian nationalism on the map in Canada. It's going to put Canadian nationalism on the map internationally. So big things are happening. It's going to be a historic event. Make sure you buy your tickets. Be there. I want to meet you. I want to spend some time with you. Come and enjoy this great event. But I'm not just here to promote the event tonight. I'm here to talk about some of the drama surrounding it. And you can just start to see this bubbling through the surface. I only became aware of this yesterday. I became aware of it through a request for comment from our good friends over at the CPC, asking for my response to some of this controversy happening behind the scenes. So there will be some new media coverage coming out about Mr. Sellner, about DomCon. But it's all been generated by these local activists who are continuing to do their worst to try and shut down our event. For some reason, people have a problem with Canadian nationalists gathering to discuss ideas, strategies, vision for the future. All of a sudden, Canadians who might have a different political opinion are not allowed to peacefully gather to discuss ideas and strategize for the future. I don't know what's so unacceptable about that. I really don't. But this is what these activists do. They want to promote a culture of intolerance. They want to encourage people to engage in terrorism, quite frankly. They want to create this environment where people can be openly hostile to people with differing political views that dissent to the mainstream narrative, the status quo. And they want people to be afraid to leave their house, to attend meetings like this, to politically organize in order to shift culture away from this radical status quo that we're living through, this cultural degradation and degeneracy that we've all been subjected to due to the actions of politicians that died before we were born. But we're not putting up with that anymore. The Dominion Society is a new era of Canadian nationalism. We're professionalizing. And to be honest, we're much more serious. We're much more intelligent. We're much more handsome than these activists. We're already running circles around them. These guys are so unprepared for what's to come. They've been taking advantage of Canadians for far too long, who have been atomized, disorganized, unprofessional. And they've reaped their rewards as they've tugged our society further and further to the left, as they've transformed our society before our very eyes. But now the game is changing. New players have emerged, and we're just the vanguard, right? We're just the front. We've acted as a sort of lightning rod to attract talent from all over the country, and there's so much talent in the right wing, in the nationalist movement, that we've attracted and that we're making use of in order to organize our demonstrations, organize our activism, organize excellent events like this. So these guys aren't prepared for what's coming. But to get into the meat of it, what's happened this week is these activist groups have published an open letter Terrifying. Making demands of provincial, municipal, federal politicians, making demands of businesses, local businesses around the city, making demands about from post-secondary educations in the area, trying to make it so we can't have our event, that our venue cancels on us, that our attendees are scared to come out and enjoy the event. But it's not really working. Everything's going as planned. We've got a all hands on deck situation behind the scenes, making sure everything goes perfect. We're organizing our teams of volunteers. Our staff is on it, on the ball, making sure everything's going to go smoothly. We've got a great venue. They got no idea what they're dealing with. And the plans on the day are going to go perfectly. They're going to go exceptionally well. You're not going to want to miss it. But let's go through. Let's read this open letter. This open letter that CBC wants me to respond to. CBC wants me to respond to. Boom. This is what they published. Google Docs. Community group statement and calls to action. Read DomCon conference in Hamilton area. The Dominion Society has announced that they are hosting a conference they are calling DomCon on August 29th, 2026 in the Hamilton area. Calling themselves a Canadian nationalist group, the Dominion Society is in fact a hate-based group that explicitly targets Black and racialized immigrants and organizes around denying genocide and settler colonialism in Canada. What an opening statement. What an opening statement. Production check. We call ourselves Canadian nationalists, but we are in fact a hate-based group. They link to, of course, anti-hate reporting. This, I have to get in touch with my lawyer. But my layman's impression of this is very clearly slander. What do you mean we are in fact a hate-based group? I don't think the Dominion Society has been charged, accused of any hate crimes. We certainly haven't been convicted of anything like that. By no means are we in fact a hate group. In fact, we are very specifically a Canadian nationalist group, a pressure group, an advocacy group that advocates on behalf of heritage Canadians to promote a vision of Canadian heritage, a preservation of our identity, with a focus on immigration reform. These are the facts. But this doesn't matter. In fact, we are a hate-based group. I'm pretty sure this is defamatory. This is slanderous rhetoric. They are presenting falsehoods as they are fact in order to damage our reputation, in order to have monetary damages inflicted on us, whether that be failure to convert sales or people asking for refunds or venues canceling our event. There's a lot of organizations on this letter that are engaging in this sort of slander. That's a risky move, guys. It's a risky move. You might want to edit this quickly. And they say, we explicitly target Black and racialized immigrants. Actually, it's not even just the racialized immigrants. It's all the immigrants. Anyone that's compromising Canada's national security and social cohesion. I don't know why Blacks are brought out of that. That really hasn't been our focus. I talk a lot about the big numbers of Chinese immigration, Indian immigration, Filipino immigration. You guys know. These are the main source countries of immigrants coming into Canada on an annual basis. Not that I'm pro Black immigration, African immigration, but it's really not a focus for us. I find it weird that they break out that group like that. And we organize around denying genocide and settler colonialism. Really, our focus is around immigration. And I wouldn't say we deny settler colonialism. In fact, I would say we embrace settler colonialism. I think colonialism is the best thing that ever happened to Canada. So just a very strange opening statement here by these community groups. Let's read the rest of it. On May 18th, the group coordinated a rally at Victoria Park and Gore Parks in Hamilton that calling for remigration and the reinstatement of the Sir John A. Macdonald statue that was removed from Gore Park by community in 2021. We didn't have a rally at Victoria Park. We had an orientation. The rally was at Gore Park. Come on. These guys can't even keep up. Remigration bears the same message we have seen from other groups, such as Nationalist 13 in Hamilton. Anyone that knows anything knows that Nationalist 13 does not really like me or the Dominion Society, but they try and lump us in, who are calling for mass deportations. It refers to a belief that all immigrants who are not descended from white English and French settlers should be deported from the country. Again, factually wrong. I think that anyone that's not of Anglo-Franco stock is not an ethnic Canadian, but our definition of heritage Canadian includes a much broader group of people. That includes Indigenous people, that includes later generations of settlers who came to Canada through the 1890s, the early 1900s, who helped build Canada, especially Northern Ontario and Western Canada. So limiting this to just Anglo-French is very dishonest based off of my statements, based off of our official rhetoric, based off of our website, all these things. They like to keep it as narrow as possible, just to radicalize people against us. Extremism researchers, what is this a link to? Extremism researchers argue that contemporary remigration ideology functions as a form of ethnic cleansing. The call to re-elect MacDonald statue is part of a whitewashing of Canadian history that denies the role of residential schools, starvation, and other policies implemented by figures like Sir John A. in the attempted genocide of Indigenous people in this country. Together, these calls reflect a desire to promote a version of Canada as a white ethno-state and instill a climate of fear for non-white residents, particularly those who are already marginalized by ongoing anti-Indigenous racism and through the structures of our immigration system. This is what really caught me about. They're saying that particularly those who are marginalized by ongoing anti-Indigenous racism and through the structures of our immigration system. Who are the ones oppressed by the structures of our immigration system? Heritage Canadians are the ones that are impressed by the structures of our immigration system. I don't even know what that line means. But all of this is very strange, very dishonest, a whitewashing of Canadian history. Really? Are we going to pretend that Canadian history isn't white? Like, really? 1867, when Canadian Confederation occurred, Canada was 97% not white, 97% Anglo-French. That's how small and restrictive the group was. The remaining 3% was mostly a mix of was mostly Indigenous, about 2% Indigenous, the remaining 1% being a bit of a mix, mostly other European groups, some Chinese migrants, some Black loyalists that came up and fought on the side of the British during the Revolutionary War. So what's the whitewashing? Like, this is just an honest interpretation of Canada's history. If we go back to 1971, when we brought in the Multiculturalism Act, Canada was still 97% white. 90% Christian, 97% white, 72, 75% Anglo-French. This is Canada's history. You can talk about, I really don't know what this whitewashing is. Like, we're pushing back on these notions that, that Canada was built by Indigenous people, that railways were built by the Chinese, another weird falsehood, all these things. Now, of course, we do have a history with some other groups in this country. There are all sorts of narratives, around the Underground Railway, around Chinese building our railways, a lot of railways that do include other racialized groups, other non-white groups. But these things are overblown, right? The reality is all of our institutions, all of the trees were cleared, the schoolhouses were built, the laws were made, all by white people. It just is what it is. They were made by Canadians, and they try and downplay this in an effort in this craze of anti-whiteness that has taken over, especially in over the last 20 years, but generally in the post-war period. And yeah, we stand against this. I don't think we're whitewashing our history, though. I think we just are the only ones telling the truth about Canada's past. So yeah, we prop up MacDonald. We love MacDonald, don't we, folks? We love MacDonald. You can have your opinions on him. He wasn't a perfect guy. In fact, I think he's quite the tragic figure. If you look into his past, his difficulties with his wife, the deaths of his children, his struggles with alcoholism, was a bit of a recluse, a bit of a dramatic man. Sometimes he would disappear for days, holed up in his hotel room, drinking, disappearing from public space, even when he was prime minister. He was a complicated man, for sure. For sure. You have your own opinions on any of the policies that came during his long reign as Canada's first prime minister, and the role he played before he was prime minister in building this country. But the reality is, Canada would not exist without John A. Macdonald. He was a man of vision, of courage, of perseverance, and he should forever be respected and remembered for those things. I'm open to having debates, conversations about the nuances of Canadian history. But no matter what, we should pay tribute to this great man. We should have great big statues of him in every city in this country. They should not be torn down. They should not be vandalized. I don't think this is a very hot take. And in fact, I think it's that these groups are the real radicals, especially on this situation. Sure, I have some spicy takes about immigration that are new to people. I think they're pretty common sense, but they're new. They're avant-garde, let's say. But our takes on history, on monuments, I think these are very popular. I think the vast majority, the silent majority of Canadians are so fed up with this culture of historical revisionism, of historic erasure, about apologizing for everything from our past and tearing down, renaming institutions, streets, tearing down statues. Everyone's tired of this. Everyone's tired of this. It's these guys that are the wackos when it comes to this issue. Let's finish it. This is not the first group of this kind to try and spread their message in Hamilton. In 2024, many of the same community groups and organizations below worked together to prevent the white supremacist group Diagolon from hosting their Terror Tour event in Hamilton. I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that event went off successfully. This took community support and action from all levels. Unfortunately, we have to call for the same kind of action again. Here's their calls to action. To elected officials at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels in Hamilton, denounce the Dominion Society, their calls for remigration, and their whitewashed history. Assert your commitment to responding to and funding the 94 calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I don't see how that's particularly relevant on this one. And assert your commitment to ensuring that your policies and statements will not contribute to the scapegoating of immigrants and racialized community that is on the rise in Hamilton. 2, to private venues. Take steps to verify any bookings happening on or around August 29th and cancel bookings made with the Dominion Society so that the event cannot happen in Hamilton. See our guide for local businesses and venues. 3, to the City of Hamilton, McMaster University, Mohawk College, and other public institutions and private institutions like Redeemer University. Deny any booking requests from the Dominion Society for an event or meeting space. These guys have no idea what they're dealing with. To individuals, stay informed about the groups organizing in your community and aware of how these groups will try and connect with these people on seemingly unrelated issues. If you see posters for the DomCon event or other advertising for the Dominion Society Nationalist 13 or Diagolon, and you are able to do so safely, remove the poster and or use Sharpie to cover its message. Use gloves or plastic tools to protect your hands. We report locations of the posters to We Support Hamilton. That's the silliest thing. There's this bizarre narrative that's spreading on Reddit mostly, but all over the place now, that there are razor blades taped under Dominion Society posters. I don't know where that came from. That's definitely not allowed. We would never do anything like that. You can tear down our posters. We're going to put them back up. We'll tear down your posters too. That's just a part of the game. But we're not violent. We wouldn't put razor blades on the posters. And frankly, that sounds like a waste of razor blades. You got to use those to stay clean and fresh. I don't know where that narrative came from. I've never seen evidence of any of these groups that they hate so much, putting razor blades under posters. There we go. Yeah. So just an absurd letter. Let's look here at the many organizational signatories that we have. Let's zoom in so we can really see them. We got Hamilton Anti-Racism Resource Center, the Hamilton Civic Center the Hamilton Center for Civic Inclusion, Hamilton Immigration Partnership, the Hamilton and District Labor Council, Solidarity Place, Sasha, the Sexual Assault Center. Like, how are these even relevant? YWCA Hamilton, the Afro-Canadian Caribbean Coalition. Don't they know I'm one of them? You'd think they'd be on my side, right? You'd think they'd be on my side. My intersectional points aren't worth anything, guys. Pride Hamilton, I guess they missed the news from last week. Good Shepherd, SPRC, Social Planning Research Council of Hamilton, Hamilton Community Legal Clinic, Disability Justice Network, Wesley, whoever that is, Hamilton Anti-Hate Coalition, the Muslim Association of Hamilton, Sex Workers Action Program, Abrar Trauma and Mental Health Services, Mission Services. These aren't even anti-hate groups. Like, it's just the most bizarre intersection of freaks imaginable, I guess. Sex workers, the homeless, the mentally ill, and these anti-racism groups all getting together to preach intolerance, to try and normalize hatred, encourage violence and other actions against us. That's what they're doing, right? These people, they know exactly what they're doing. They do. This is exactly what they're looking for. Look who's here. Do you want to say hi? You want to say hi, Arthur? Oh, the big dog. The big dog. Arthur wants to say hi. Long live Canada with Arthur. Can you deliver the show? No? I don't think he likes the lights. Say hi to Arthur, everyone. Can he get a pin? Can he get a pin? No, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. That's Arthur. We love Arthur. We love Arthur. Arthur is a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, a purebred Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever. They say we can't have purebred Canadians, but somehow we have purebred Canadian dogs. Isn't that interesting? A Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, a unique combination of all sorts of European breeds to build a new purebred dog made entirely here in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, off the south coast of Nova Scotia. It's interesting, eh? It's interesting, eh? You can have purebred dogs, but Canadians, we don't have our own distinct ethnicity. That's interesting, isn't it? Weird double standard. Weird double standard. Weird double standard. Has anyone thought of that? But yeah, all these groups engaging in slander and trying to encourage people to engage in terrorism against the Dominion Society. That's exactly what they're doing. Shocking with the rise of left-wing terrorism across the world. You have groups like this, government-funded groups, every one of these groups, not privately funded, it's not grassroots funded. They're all government-funded groups that work as foot soldiers for these political establishment in order to discourage dissent, try and strike fear into our supporters, make them concerned they're going to lose their jobs or get attacked, be subject to violence. That's what they're doing, and they'll deny it, but they'd be happy if someone got assaulted. Yeah, that person deserved it. They're a hateful bigot. That's what they'd say, right? Right? That's exactly what they want. And the CBC, the Hamilton Spectator, they work hand in hand with these groups in order to help promote their message and spread it even further for the exact same reasons. They don't want our event to go on. They don't want Canadians to be given a real alternative viewpoint on the direction of the country. They want the debate to be between different degrees of liberalism. That's all that's acceptable in Canada now. You get the right liberals, you got the left liberals, blue team, red team. That's all that's acceptable. Not really. You can have a completely different viewpoint in politics, and that's what we're delivering to the broader conversation. We're bringing forward this less liberal, this nationalist conception of politics. We're not trying to do so violently. It's not about an uprising. It's not about a militia. We're using the democratic process. We're spreading our ideas peacefully. We build communities. We engage in the civic process. We support candidates. We volunteer to spread our ideas. How else are nationalists supposed to achieve our vision for the future that we want? if not through these peaceful channels? What do they expect from us? We do this. We host an event to network and provide speeches on our direction of the future. And they say, this is unacceptable. What do you guys want? What do you guys want? If we can't do this, do you know what's going to happen? This stuff isn't going to disappear. This energy, the rise of nationalism that's happening not only in Canada, but across the world, it's not going to be dissipated into mainstream political parties. And in fact, that wouldn't even make them happy. These groups hate the Conservative Party. They're too radical. They're too racist for them. The Conservative Party's too racist for them. Seriously. So no, we're not going to be deterred by these things. We have plans. We have backup plans. We have plan A, plan B, plan C. This event's going to go on and it's going to be great. It's going to be well hosted at a nice venue. Everything's going to go nicely. There's going to be great speeches. People are going to make great people. We're going to have security in place. We're going to protect everyone's identities. We're going to have these activists running in circles trying to figure out where we are, what's going on, how they can shut down the event, and they're going to fail. But really, in this climate of increasing political radicalism, polarization, the normalization of left-wing violence, just look at the last year. You've seen guys in France murdered by Antifa. You've seen Charlie Kirk shot due to by someone radicalized by left-wing rhetoric. In Canada, just a couple of months ago, you saw Alexander Cormier-Denis, a Quebec nationalist podcaster and activist, had his car firebombed by Antifa terrorists during a Saint Jean-Baptiste party. This is the reality of Canada in current year. And the media ignores it completely and then facilitates these radical activists in spreading their message in order to create an environment of hate and intolerance and violence in order to maintain the status quo. They can try. We're done with it. We know your games. We know what you're trying to do. And the reality is we're actually better at politics than you guys are. That's why we're growing so quick. That's why we're spreading our message. That's why we're winning over more and more people. And that's why we're going to be running around circles around you on August 29th in the lead up to them. And that's not it. They also popped a petition. I assume this is the same group. It's mostly the same text. They keep hate out of Hamilton. Stand against the Dominion Society's DomCon conference. Calling it DomCon was worth it just to have these guys repeat DomCon. Not everyone loves the name. I like the name. But it's funny when they have to use it over and over. I'll say that. And I want to remind you, this is not a movement based in hate. Do you guys think I'm hateful? Honestly. Have I ever said anything hateful? Do I seem like a angry, hateful guy? Not really. That's not really my style. I'm motivated by a love for my people, my history, my culture. I'm motivated by a concern for the future, a fear that my children will have to grow up in a foreign country instead of the country I was born into, that my parents were born into. That's what motivates me. Not hate. I don't love every other country. I don't have any problems with them. I just think they should have their own cultures, their own countries elsewhere. And they have those. They have their homelands. They have their homelands that they can go back and visit and enjoy while trying to leech off of our society, while trying to extract wealth from our society. That's what they want, right? I don't want to tolerate that anymore. I want to make sure Canada remains Canada. And the only way to do that is to make sure that Canadians remain the super majority here in Canada. That's the only way that we can preserve our culture and our identity and make sure Canadians don't go extinct, because that's what we're on course for if present trends continue. So we're not based in hate. We're based in love. We love our family. We love our nation. We love our history. That's what motivates us. And I think that's much more powerful. Keep hate out of Hamilton. Stand against the Dominion Society. And it's basically the same stuff. We, the undersigned, including residents, community organizations, businesses, religious communities, labor organizations, educational institutions, unions, service providers, and other community partners, stand together in rejecting racist, xenophobic, anti-Indigenous, Islamophobic, anti-Arab, anti-Semitic, anti-Black, anti-2S LGBTQIA+, homophobic. Why do you have Why is there anti-2S LGBTQIA plus and homophobic and transphobic? Isn't that a tad redundant? Isn't that a tad redundant, guys? Ableist, misogynistic, violent extremist, and anti-democratic ideologies in our community. Do you know what's anti-democratic? Do you know what's anti-democratic, guys? Shutting down political opponents based off of their political ideology. That's what's anti-democratic. Trying to get people deplatformed, venues to cancel on them because of they're peacefully organizing and they disagree with you. That's anti-democratic. These people are so out of touch with reality that they really think they're good guys. They think they're the defenders of freedom and tolerance in our society, when in actuality, what they're advocating for is state persecution of their fellow citizens based off of political ideology. You're not the heroes here. You're the tyrants. You're the tyrannical state. That's the game here. We're the good guys. We're the rebels. This is what people can't even conceive, right? Because in all of media, be it like Star Wars, all of popular media, the most popular media throughout our lifetimes, in movies like Star Wars, in Harry Potter, the rebel forces, like literally the rebels in Star Wars, or the light side in Harry Potter, they're the liberals, right? It's the Star Wars. It's the rebels that are fighting against the Empire, the kind of fascist authoritarian state. And in Harry Potter, it's the liberals, the multiculturalists, the people that accept non like half bloods and mudbloods and Muggleborns rather shouldn't be throwing around slurs. That accept people, goblins and giants and half-breeds and werewolves. It's the liberals, the multiculturalists, or the rebels that are always promoted as the good side against the kind of authoritarian state. But so these liberals feel like they're the good guys, right? They associate themselves with the good guys since they're liberals. But the reality is they are foot soldiers of the elite. Everything's on its head. Everything's on its head. Even though you could more easily associate me with Voldemort, the kind of nationalist in favor of protecting the continuity of wizard kind. The half-blood, pure-blood fanatic that is Voldemort. The reality is we are the ones opposing the system, right? They are the ones upholding, that are foot soldiers of every mainstream institution, every super rich oligarch, the government as it stands. They are those people, but they're so wrapped up in like the Marvelization, the Star Warsization, the Disneyification of Western society. They have this warped view where they're the good guys. You guys are the bad guys. You're the villains in this story. We just want to peacefully organize, have a productive meeting, go about our day. We don't want to engage in violence. We don't want to engage in hate. We don't even want to talk to you. We're not interested. We just want to talk to each other and go about our days, meet other people that agree with us, talk about our vision for the future, and get organized to advance our political opinions. Do the same. You guys do the same. We can compete. You guys have your vision for the future. You guys get organized. We have our vision for the future. We get organized. And then we have elections. And then we figure out who wins. That's how this goes. You don't need to shut our events down and stuff like this and pretend you are the saviors of virtue and tolerance, blah, 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 blah. It's so tired. It's so tired. But it also is quite reminiscent of 1984, right? Where they name themselves things like the Anti-Racism Center, the Anti-Hate Coalition, when in reality, much like the Ministry of Truth in 1984 is all about concealing the truth, all these groups are just promoting hate and intolerance while framing themselves as the tolerant good guys. It's all very backwards, and people are seeing through it more and more. So yeah, this petition goes on. It's basically the same. They have the same 4 demands, blah, blah, blah. Sign the petition so they can stop this, as if this matters at all. So, it might be funny if some people went through and filled this out, Bodie McBoatface, and so on, and filled their petition with spam. That would be kind of funny, don't you think? Don't you think, guys? Just an idea. Just an idea. If you have nothing else to do tonight. Yeah. So very silly, but we're laughing, we're moving on. So I've gotten a few requests for comment about this in the last 2 days. One from CBC Hamilton asking me about this. The funniest part, I'll read it to you guys. In a public letter, these groups state your organization is a hate-based group, ask officials to denounce it, and call on businesses and organizations not to rent space for DomCon or other events. Would you be willing to comment on this letter for an article I'm writing? My deadline is 4 p.m. Thursday. Also, can you share where DomCon will be? And if not, explain why the Dominion Society is keeping that a secret? Brother, are you stupid? Are you stupid or are you just playing dumb? Why are we keeping it a secret? He's like, here's the campaign. Here's a angry mob with pitchforks trying to run you out of town. Will you tell them where your house is? Here is a coordinated attempt in collaboration with the municipal government, a bunch of government-funded institutions, and the mainstream media in order to cancel your event. Could you just tell us where that is so we could phone them up and make sure that they cancel on you? Like, are you fucking serious? I couldn't believe it when I received it. No, Justin, we're not going to be providing comment on the location of our venue. We're going to keep that tight for obvious reasons. So thanks for the request for comment. Hopefully, hopeful to see your very fair and balanced coverage in the CBC forthright. I also got another a request for comment from our friends over at the Hamilton Spectator, our favorite publication, who constantly covers us, and they were similarly asking for a response on the letter. Why was Martin Sellner invited to speak? Has your group had any discussions with Hamilton Police Service regarding the potential safety concerns for attendees and speakers? Are you aware of the public letter? So again, I gave them a nice comment, but I thought it was hilarious. That second question there. Has your group had any discussions with the police regarding potential safety concerns? So even the Hamilton Spectator recognizes that there is this toxic culture of political violence that is fomenting, that these people are trying to encourage. The Hamilton Spectator is even concerned that there's going to be violent actions against attendees or speakers. No, there's not going to be any violence. We're prepared. We have security. We have plans to dance around these people. But even the Hamilton Spectator knows. This is exactly how I responded to them. That I sent them a comment. I would like to highlight the disturbing reality implicitly recognized in your question that left-wing political violence has become so common in Canada that is considered expected. Let me be clear, the Dominion Society, like, it's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. So looking forward to seeing the coverage. We'll see. A good reminder from my good friend Cunningham Bear: like, share, subscribe, regardless of what platform you're on. Make sure to engage with the stream, retweet, like, comment to help us get more eyeballs. Just crazy. I'll answer some questions at the end. Yeah, the Aurelia Matters article, the most recent Aurelia Matters article about us. So freaking ridiculous. It's not really. It's just in their comment. It's in their letters to the editor. We can look at that quick. Letter to the editor. Dominion Society, an invasive species, not welcome in Aurelia. Such insane rhetoric. An invasive species. I think immigrants are an invasive species in Canada. Whoa. No, the Dominion Society is an invasive species in Aurelia. In the past week, an invasive species has made its way to Aurelia. That's the only term I can find that suits the beast. The beast. The beast. It's an insidious agent feeding on our opinions, fears, and division. Insane. These people are unhinged. Of course, we have our own homegrown spats, disagreements, and face-washing moments here in Aurelia. The history of the city is rife with examples of internal disputes and incidents of social disruptions. However, there is also a much larger tendency of the city to come together during a crisis, to support each other when down, and to look to the betterment of the community as a whole. We are like a family that has spats but comes together in the end. Part of the beauty of Aurelia is how it has evolved in the short 15 years I've been here. The influx of cultures makes the city more than the sum of its parts. International cuisines test the limits of your palate and reward it with explosions of flavor. It's always about food with these people. That's the only thing they can point to. That's the only thing that they can point to. We would have to eat unseasoned foods if it wasn't for the immigrants. What would we do if we couldn't get Chinese food? If I couldn't get my banh mi, my butter chicken? We have the recipes. We have the recipes. We can figure it out, guys. Lots of good Canadian cuisine. We don't have to sell out the future of our people. We don't have to deal with depressed wages and sky-high housing costs just to have butter chicken. Please. Please. I'm asking you for rationalism. Please. The most soy boy line I've ever heard. International cuisine, test the limits of your palate and reward it with explosions of flavor. Colorful new festivals, music, and art open eyes to the world while remaining loyal to the beauty of Ontario. Look, I like Ontario. If you want to travel, go travel the world. Come back and enjoy your home. We don't need that here. We don't need that here. New people are learning of our culture and we of theirs. These experiences only serve to make a strong, welcoming community. Unfortunately, some in Aurelia want to turn around and go back to what was. They respond to calls for reclaiming our heritage. They persist in debating minutiae about the benefits of a statue of an explorer from 400 years ago. And there are real problems we face here and now. This is a series. It's not just about one man. It's about a whole culture of erasure and apologism for a history we should be proud of. And that's a really toxic thing that undermines Canada's identity and causes a lot of other crises. And Samuel Champlain isn't just a random dude from 400 years ago. He's a critical figure to the founding of Canada that should be looked upon as an inspiration. So to just throw this under, just sweep it under the rug as a minor thing is just, it's just not realistic. It's not reasonable. And really, hundreds of people are already on my side. More than 700 people in Aurelia have signed our petition to restore the statue. This guy is the fringe minority on this issue. And an outside group has decided to grasp on this divisive issue to promote their agenda. Remigration. It's not about remigration. This campaign's about saving Champlain, and it's not a divisive issue. 70% of Aurelians are on our side. That's by definition not divisive. Remigration is nothing more than the removal of anyone not white or of the right ancestry. Of course, this group decides which of you have the right ancestry. They've managed to get a few hundred of you to sign a bogus petition, supposedly about returning the statue. They plan to present it to council as some sort of indication that Aurelians want to move back to earlier pioneer days. No, we plan to present it to council as an indication that people want to put the statue back up. It's not that complicated. In reality, the petition is simply a means to gather contacts for fundraising, membership building, and to bring remigration to the forefront. Not true. No one's on our email list. It's all about the campaign. We can actually compartmentalize things. It was a test of their ability to turn a community on itself using existing division. If they succeed, they plan to run people for parliament on the exact same platform. Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day. But this wasn't about the ability to turn the community on itself. This was about giving the majority, the silent majority, a voice and a platform to make their opinions known. Because again, it's the radical activist fringe, so the 30% that were getting their way. And that's wrong, but they were getting their way because they were organized. So we stepped in to provide structure and organization to make sure the will of the majority is upheld. I don't want to divide Aurelians at all. In fact, it's these people that are very divisive, that are very hateful. I'm here to help make sure a beautiful statue, a beautiful piece of public art is restored and protected instead of vandalized and torn down. If you sign the petition, you are now on the contact list for the Dominion Society. Look them up. Their purpose is clear. The Dominion Society is a nonpartisan advocacy group dedicated to promoting Canadian identity and heritage and nationalism. Yep. They wear green shirts instead of brown shirts or white hoods. Oh, good one. And they have the same mentality. They are a right-wing, whites-only group led by a former MAGA advisor from the United States. What? They are a right-wing, whites-only group led by a former MAGA advisor from the United States? Is that me? Am I a former MAGA advisor from the United States? I'm from here. I'm a 12th generation Canadian. Born in Ottawa, raised in Toronto. I visited the U.S. a couple of times, but I have no affiliation with MAGA, and I'm more critical on the U.S. than most people. So just an absurd, just crazy falsehoods that are being printed. Crazy false falsehoods. Only I, in the same day, will be accused of being not white enough to be a part of a nationalist movement at the same time as being called the head of a whites-only movement. Jesus, the stuff I have to put up with, guys. The stuff I put up with for the future of our country to represent you folks and to bear this standard proudly. Just unbelievable. And yes, they really do want all non-white people to leave Canada. I'm not sure how they plan to address the First Nations. Well, I mean, if you asked, we'd give you a nice answer because we have answers for everything. It's from Dennis Rizzo. Dennis Rizzo. What's that surname? Italian? This guy's probably a post-war immigrant, second, third generation. And he's clearly not very proud of Canada's heritage, our history, all these sorts of things. He just sweeps it under the rug. That all happened 400 years ago. That doesn't matter anymore. We're multicultural. We need flavor explosions in our mouth. We need butter chicken. That's more important than a statue of just some random dude from 400 years ago. No, people like Dennis Rizzo are the problem. These people have no pride. They don't understand our history. They don't have any pride in our identity. They just want to undermine, virtue signal, and have us replaced to achieve some liberal morality. And I've had enough of it. This is not moral. Replacing our people, undermining the vision of our founders, making it so that our grandchildren can't live in the same country as our grandparents, that is immoral. So I don't have time for Dennis Rizzo and his flavor explosions. I'm quite tired of that. Can I ask where you grew up in Toronto? I grew up in Midtown Toronto. Just on the edge of Forest Hill. How many members of the Dominion Society now? About 3,100. We're having some hiccups with some renewals. The last thing I want to go over tonight, and then we'll get to some questions, folks, is this article written by Michelle Rempel Garner, the CPC's immigration critic, long-standing immigration critic. There's one more thing I have to pull up. Michelle Rempel Garner. Leaf Nurse 2149 sent my renewal last week. Patriot, loyalist, get your renewals. Just a reminder, everyone gets one of these. All of our second-year members gets this new beautiful pin of Sir John A. Macdonald. Our first-year members will continue to get our our classic Dominion Society crest pin, but our 2-year members who already have the classic one will get this new beautiful John A. McDonald pin. So make sure you're signing up now to get your renewal in, help fuel the movement, stay involved, get involved with your local group chat, all those great things. Stay on the list and help continue to fuel our movement. This reminder, drink some water. I can drink some water. Thank you, Karmatic 89. Am I getting raspy, guys? Everyone yell at him, drink water. Okay, I drink the water, guys. But yes, become a member. That's how you get involved in the organization. You help fuel their fight. It's just $25 a year. It's just $25 a year, and you get this cool pin. Or you get this cool pin. But more importantly, you get to be involved. You get involved at the ground floor. You help us build this movement from the ground up. You get plugged into your local team. Once you're vetted, and you're on, you've completed all of our necessary agreements to protect everyone's privacy, identity, and our internal operations, then you get plugged into your local group chat. You get to meet nationalists, like-minded Canadians in your area. You get to start engaging in community groups, localized activism. You actually help to change our country. And it's not all glamorous work, guys. Some of it's hard work, some of it's boring, some of it's grindy, but that's the reality of politics. This is going to be a long game. We're not just going to turn it around by yapping on the internet a bit and all that stuff. It's going to be a lot of hard work. But every little campaign that we organize, even if it's just a few guys coordinating to poster, that's a small building block. Not only does it spread our message, propagate our brand and all this, but it also starts to give people organizing experience. And you move on from posters to lit dropping, and all of a sudden to door knocking, and then you get a good understanding of how to actually build a grassroots movement, and that trains up our volunteers. All of a sudden, we have volunteers that we can offer to political parties. This extends our pressure into those mainstream institutions. All of a sudden, the 50 best volunteers in every riding are Dominion Society members. What does that do to a political party? Oh, you want the 50 best volunteers in your riding? That can win you an election campaign, especially in certain ridings. All of a sudden, we're kingmakers in every single riding across the country. What does that do to the incentive structure for these political parties? Right now, their incentive structure dictates I need to pander to random immigrant groups in order to win over voting blocks to win certain ridings. In a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, come the next federal election, the math will be very different. All of a sudden, it will be, wait, I need to pander to the Dominion Society if I want to win this election. I need to win over Canadian nationalists, get their volunteers, get their voting block. That's the game plan, guys. And it's going to take years. It's going to take a few years. We have a few years to prepare for the next federal election, but let's use it. And it starts with small, unglamorous things. Either being a foot soldier and listening to commands, getting organized, showing up on time, doing your work well with dignity and discipline, or helping to organize, which means, making phone calls, chasing people down in DMs, sending emails, getting people organized to show up and execute on a task. That's what we're building here. So it's all about building community, embracing activism, getting people involved in the political process in order to create communities, in order to generate leverage over existing political parties while normalizing and popularizing ideas, extending our base. That's the strategy. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. It's a time-tested strategy in order to create political pressure. That's what we're doing. So it all starts with a $25 a year contribution. Join as a member, join.dominionsociety.ca, and you can sign up for an annual subscription. Exactly. Generational problems require generational solutions. Our society didn't get transformed overnight, guys, right? Multiculturalism was pushed through the 50s, through the 60s, before it was pushed into government policy in the 70s, which led to mass immigration starting in the late 80s, peaking under Justin Trudeau in 2019. It was a 50-year project. Now, we're a lot better at this than them, so it's not going to take that sort of time. But this isn't going to be solved overnight. It's going to be a grind. It's going to take hard work. But finally, we're starting to do it. would have been better if we started 10 years ago. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that. So the next best time is today, is yesterday, it's tomorrow. So get involved and be a part of the change. We're building something real here. So the last thing I do want to talk about, as I mentioned, is this article by Michelle Rempel Gardner. And as I mentioned, she's the immigration critic for the CPC. And I thought this was an interesting article. It was an interesting article. It represents a shift in the CPC, not a big shift. I'm not blowing the victory horns or anything like this. But I would say this is a step in the right direction. Some adoption of our rhetoric, a pivot in a sense, a signal that they are paying attention, that they're shifting, they're dipping their toes in the water. But really not good enough. The hour is late and more significant changes are required. So let's go through it. Here we have Michelle Rempel. Integration must be immigration's first principle. Integration must be immigration's first principle. An interesting thesis. Immigration must be focused first on building a stronger, more united Canadian people. Full stop. Before the House of Commons rose in June, a senior official with the Canadian Chamber of Commerce appeared before the House of Commons Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration and delivered what many in his field believe is a perfectly reasonable statement. Immigration policy is an economic policy, the official asserted. The reaction among conservative members of the committee was disbelief. To be fair, in the years past, this statement would not have caused anyone to bat an eye. But after a decade of liberal immigration policy that drove numbers far beyond what housing, healthcare, and the job market could sustain, and institutionalizing policy that was bent on erasing Canadian national identity, the testimony from that official was remarkably tone deaf. That's because it's notably lacked any recognition that while Canada's immigration system has been viewed primarily as a means of supplying labor for business or students for colleges and universities, this approach is not sustainable. Given the pressure that recent mass immigration has placed on the country, the immigration system primary purpose must be immediately retooled to build the Canadian people and sustain the nation's identity. This is strong rhetoric. This is pretty strong rhetoric, guys. Notable is that she's pivoting away from the concept of immigration as an economic policy, which is generally my pitch to a lot of politicians when I'm talking about rhetoric and policy around immigration. It's as simple as embracing the concept that immigration is not just an economic policy. In fact, it's a bad economic policy. It's more importantly, it needs to be geared around cultural preservation. And that should be the key metric as to which immigration is structured around, which is similar to what Michelle's suggesting. She says integration should be the first principle. I think preserving our ethnocultural identity should be the kind of first principle. But she's on the right track. So that's why I thought this was particularly interesting. Zoom in on the website, Daniel. You can't read. Is that better? That's better. It's not enough that I'm reading to you guys. You got to read yourself as well. Okay. Is that better? To illustrate this point, at some point over the last several decades, Canadian governments lost the plot on the first principle of housing, to which is to provide shelter. Today, most government housing policy still primarily treats housing primarily what the heck? Okay, this is a typo. I thought I was crazy. Still primarily treats housing primarily as a financial asset or investment. Far lower on the list of priorities is enabling an abundance of shelter and the stability it brings to families. This has brought a whole host of societal problems to the country. The same goes for immigration. Over the last decade, the safeguards in the immigration system that once prevented bringing in too many people too quickly were systematically dismantled by the federal Liberals. This included removing safeguards like far lower caps on overall intake levels, stricter rules on issuance of temporary work permits, stricter pre-entry screening, stronger language proficiency standards, and measures to dissuade the abuse of Canada's asylum system. Those safeguards existed to ensure sufficient capacity for the successful integration of all newcomers into Canada's inclusive and tolerant social fabric, or to protect Canada's high trust society from deterioration. Again, this is all adopting our rhetoric, right? It should have come as no surprise to the Liberals that major problems would follow once they were watered down. What the concept of integration in Canadian national identity looks like in practice was also to be clear, but after a decade of policy that was designed to erode it government. Newcomers were once eager to accept this identity when deciding to come to Canada. This used to mean abandoning any violent, extreme, hateful prejudices upon entry. It meant committing to obey the rule of law and uphold shared Canadian rights, including freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, freedom of peaceful assembly, freedom of association, and equality of men and women. It meant acknowledging that Canada's three founding peoples are Aboriginal, French, and British. It meant learning one of Canada's two official languages, recognizing that common language is a societal unifier, and it meant accepting the expectation to be or rapidly become financially independent while contributing to the building and sustaining of Canada's free democratic pluralism for generations. All of these principles remain in the Citizenship Guide too. So just eye-rolling civic nationalism as to be expected by the CPC. These expectations should form the baseline required of immigrants to our country. These principles are deliberately designed to transcend religion and ethnicity. Okay. At their foundation, they affirm that it does not matter what deity you pray to or what color of what the color of your skin is. If you choose to embrace these principles and abandon any that conflict with them, you can become Canadian. Very naive. But the opposite should also be considered true. If these rules are not fully embraced by newcomers, consequences must be enforced, or we risk the unraveling of Canada's social contract. Fundamentally, the main reason why the consensus on immigration in Canada has deteriorated so rapidly is not about the overall too high levels of immigration in the country. That's a big part of it, but more so about the liberal changes to the system, which has allowed an increasing number of newcomers to thumb their nose at these principles. For example, the Liberals' continued dogmatic refusal to amend Canada's criminal code to ensure non-citizens convicted of serious crimes face the long-standing immigration consequences of deportation signals that is acceptable to disobey the rule of law, the tolerance of fraud. The immigration system signals that it is open season for abuse. The Liberals' continued provision of luxury benefits for failed asylum claimants signals that there is no obligation to become financially self-sufficient, and that the abuse of Canada's asylum system is a legitimate path to entry. The Liberals' lowering of language knowledge standards signaled that common language is not necessary for national unity or to fully participate in Canadian society. The Liberals' prioritization of business groups that profit from large numbers of low-skilled temporary foreign workers signals that it's okay for Canada to develop a caste system of labor. This tolerance of violent foreign ideology has led to increases in acts of hate perpetrated against, particularly towards the Jewish community. Of course, you have to throw them in there. Their abysmal screening process has allowed agents of terrorist regimes to enter Canada and normalize and spread violent foreign ideology and gang activities within Canada's borders. The Liberals' recent C3, Bill C3 which allows Canadian citizenship to be passed down ad infinitum to people with no significant connection to Canada, erodes the value of Canadian citizenship. Their attempt to erase Canada's national symbols says there was no national identity for newcomers to integrate into to begin with, and their decision to bring in too many people too quickly for jobs, housing, healthcare, and other social support to keep pace has led to scarcity and its negative competitive consequences. So a lot of good stuff, right? She's criticizing the asylum system. She's criticizing temporary foreign workers. She's criticizing language standards. There's a lot of she's criticizing Bill C3. There's a lot of good things that we're commenting on all the time, but the most damaging part of a decade of liberal destruction of the true first principles of Canada's immigration system is the impact on people who came to Canada and upheld their end of the deal. This is the worst part, really. The worst part is the effect on actual immigrants. These folks comprise the vast, overwhelming majority of immigrants to our country. When the Liberals allow others to get away with breaking the rules, they risk entire communities getting tarred with the same brush. We're going to have to disagree on that one, Michelle. This is why Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent false claim that they have taken back control of immigration is so dangerous. The lived experiences of many Canadians says otherwise. On any given morning, there is another major story of the system failing. Today was no different. The integration metrics still do not drive immigration policy. The good news is that this state of affairs is reversible, which is why Canada's Conservatives have spent the past year proposing major legislative and policy changes. Rules must be enforced, and the safeguards that once ensured Canada's immigration system prioritized building the Canadian people and our national identity must be restored. Expect more to come in the fall. Immigration policy that forgets its first duty to build and strengthen the Canadian people will eventually unmake the country it claims to serve. That cannot be allowed to come to pass. So, so that I don't know when. Maybe I should stop reading all these articles to you guys every week. Maybe it's getting a bit boring. But this is an important article, and I want to react to it. I don't know if you've read it, so I don't know if I can rant about it. Did you guys do the readings? Like, do I have to give homework before my episodes? It might be a bit boring, but that's an important statement from Canada's immigration critic. And I think there's a lot of interesting meat in there. She makes a lot of good critiques of the current Liberal system. But two important things come to light on me, and this is why it's not good enough from the CPC. Not only is there all sorts of bones in there about how it's not about ethnicity, it's not about skin color. Immigrants are the ones that really bear the consequences. No, it's all of us. Like, can you just format immigration as a net negative to the Canadian people? Like, it doesn't need to be about pandering and fitting immigrants into this notion. Enough immigrants agree with you already. You don't need to pander to them all the time. But there's two big things that stand out to me on this, and one is the Conservatives are only willing, and this is the same last week when we were reading Garnet Genis's op-ed about us last week, is the Conservatives are only willing to criticize immigration policy insofar as it's changed in the last 10 years under Justin Trudeau. And they're only willing to frame it as a partisan issue. And it really undermines their credibility, because anyone that's in the know on this topic, and most general Canadians, understand that the problems with immigration go back much further than Justin Trudeau. And really what the Conservatives are trying to pivot to is that the Liberals are the problem, we're the solution, and that when it was under Harper, everything was all good. We just need to return to the beautiful system that Harper ran, and everything will be fine. But that's not good enough in 2026. To be honest, it wasn't good enough in 2006, 20 years ago, when Harper was in control. Harper was a key figure in the degradation of Canada's national identity. He was. A lot of people say he's like one of our best prime ministers. He wasn't. Him and Jason Kenney started a lot of these problems, right? It was under Harper and Jason Kenney that the main source countries for immigration shifted away from America and the UK, culturally, ethnically, linguistically, religiously similar countries to Canada, shifted away from those towards India, China, and the Philippines, countries that are ethnically, linguistically, religiously different than Canada. This is what causes these cultural tensions, right? It was also under Harper and Kenney that immigration rates continued to rise. It was under Harper and Kenney that they saw massive expansions to the temporary foreign worker program, the addition of the international mobility program, the diversification of jobs offered under these programs to move away from just seasonal agricultural support towards things like fast food services, hospitality, cleaning services, all these things that we don't need temporary foreign workers for. These aren't jobs that need to be staffed by temporary foreign workers. Seasonal agriculture, when there's actual shifts in the demand for labor that is unsustainable because it only is around for 2 months of the year. We can't just have Canadians necessarily waiting around for harvest season. There's some logic behind a temporary foreign worker program. There's no logic behind cleaning hotels, running Harveys, that requires temporary foreign workers. Like, that's just big business wanting to undercut Canadian wages. But the Conservatives, be it Michelle Rempel Garner or Garnet Genius, only want to frame immigration as a partisan issue. They want to frame it as it's only been the last 10 years under Justin Trudeau, and if you get us in power, we're going to return to Harper and fix all the problems. It's not good enough. Harper's immigration policy was bad, and it's not equipped to solve the problems of 2026. If the Conservatives want to have credibility on this issue, they need to ditch this framing. They need to embrace it as a national issue. This is the most important issue in our society that's facing our society. It's not about just Justin Trudeau mismanaging it. It's about a broken system that they need to fix. Stop saying, it's the liberals, it's the liberals. Even better, admit that your party made mistakes and you want to do things differently. That would be the best solution. But better, the middle ground solution is just to ditch this framing that it's a partisan thing, that it's all about the bad liberals. Just admit that the system's bad and put forward solutions to fix it. So that's the first main problem that I have with their messaging on immigration. The other is this civic nationalist perspective on this focus on integration. Really, the purpose of our immigration system should not be to integrate foreigners into Canada, right? It should be to supplement the needs of Canada to achieve the best interests of Canadians, right? I believe there needs to be a 5 to 10 year total immigration moratorium in order to get Canada back on track. But after that, we can return to immigration, but it can't be at these insane levels. It must be from a small subset of culturally similar countries. And really, it should only be in exceptional circumstances when very specific talents, skills are required to for specific businesses in order to achieve economic realities to help the prosperity of the Canadian people. That's the purpose of immigration. Replacement migration is not acceptable. The fertility crisis is a separate thing that needs to be addressed through government policy, not through immigration. That's not even a sustainable solution to the fertility crisis. And any immigrants that come here must be to serve in the best interest of the Canadian people. Did you hear that? Did you hear Arthur do a little shake off? That's noisy. That's noisy. These people must speak English and or French. They must be proud to integrate into our society. They must accept, not vilify our history. And they must have unique and exceptional skills that other Canadians just don't have. That's the niche situation where immigration is permissible. So no, the first principle of immigration is not integration. And it makes me wonder, she has no concrete proposal on this. She offers a lot of criticism, but what's your vision for integration, Michelle? Over the last 10 years that you're so fond of talking about, we've imported a lot of immigrants who have not integrated into Canadian society. And they are not going to integrate into Canadian society, right? These people come and they live in ethnic ghettos. This has been made worse by the extremely high numbers of immigration coming, especially from very few countries to very few areas of Canada that sequester themselves into ethnic ghettos, which makes it so that there's even less pressures for them to integrate. They can continue to speak foreign languages and so on. So what's your plan to force these people to integrate? Right? Liberalism, right liberalism, left liberalism has no solution for this. You can't force people to integrate. What are you going to do? Send them to indoctrination schools? This is ridiculous. So obviously we can create a system where integration will work better by reducing the numbers, by having better selection criteria and so forth. But the barbarians are in the gates. The barbarians are in the gates. How do you solve the problem that's already here? There are millions of foreigners in Canada who are using our country to extract wealth. Most of them, the vast majority of them, came here legally. The Conservatives aren't even willing to talk about illegals, what they're going to do with illegals. There's at least 1 million migrants here that illegal migrants here that need to be deported. There's close to another million who came here fraudulently through the asylum system that also need to be deported. Not to mention abuses of our birthright citizenship process. So they're not willing to talk about the mass deportations that are necessary to remove just the illegals from the situation. But then what is your solution to impose integration on the people who came here legally that have no interest in being Canadian? We can get into the details of if that's even possible. But what is your solution to encourage, to force these people to integrate into Canadian society, to stop hating our way of life? What does that even mean to you, integration? Is it really integration if these people are continuing their foreign cultures, that are enjoying their foreign cultural festivals in our streets, that are enjoying their foreign religions in our country, putting up their religious symbols, opening their religious houses, churches, whatever you want to call them? Is this integration to you? It's not really integration to me. That's a transformation of Canadian society. So what is your definition of integration, and how do you suggest that we create it? Because the way I see it is we've brought in too many people over the last 10 years in particular, but over the last 20 years, over the last 50 years. And we've had a policy for 50 years encouraging these people to maintain their cultures, their languages, and so on through this official multiculturalism system. How do you reverse this? How do you do an about face and force these people to integrate? There is no liberal solution for this. We have to be tolerant and respectful of people of different races and religions and so on. There's no way to enforce, they could do things. There are things like, we have all sorts of public services. You can now get your driver's license in a billion different languages, right? They could restrict these services to make them done in English and French. There's a few kind of push factors that they could institute, especially on language services, to make things more restrictive in order to incentivize people to integrate. But that's a drop in the bucket, right? We live in not only are there these massive ethnic ghettos, but we live in this very globalized world where these people, even if they live here, they travel back regularly to their home country, facilitating their recharging their foreign culture. They enjoy foreign TV shows through streaming services, through the internet. They spend their time talking and FaceTiming with their foreign relatives, speaking in foreign languages. How do you encourage integration in the modern globalized world in a multi-ethnic ghettoized society? How do you do that? I don't know. My solution is remigration. My solution is we admit the government fucked up. Multiculturalism was a naive policy. We thought it would be this utopic vision for the future where no one would fight anymore, and it didn't work. It just ended up being a ghettoized society with different ethnic voting blocks, where pitting them against each other and hijacking our politics to focus on foreign issues became the driving force behind our politics. And there was violence between different ethnic groups that have intergenerational foreign blood feuds that they could not overcome, even though we gave them liberalism. Oops. We thought it would work. It didn't. We're going to fix it by sending back people who are not integrating into our society. That's the real solution. We need to hit the reset button, remigrate button, send back a lot of people, and then do immigration properly going forward, where we're only selecting from countries that are culturally similar to us, where we're only bringing in numbers that we can actually absorb, whether that be economically or culturally. And we're only doing it in exceptional circumstances. The only way to ensure integration is by maintaining heritage Canadians as the ethnic supermajority in Canada. For a long time, immigration did work in Canada. Some of the more radical elements in the movement might not like to hear this, but for generations, immigration did work because we had a clear culture. We were proud of our history and heritage. People were coming in limited numbers for economic opportunities, and they were coming in very small numbers, and they weren't all sequestered into ghettos and big cities. They were coming and they were forced to integrate into our society, or else they would be social pariahs, right? It's not all government policy. Some of it is socio-cultural, right? These people would come and they'd be one of a few families in a small town, less than 10% of the population, less than 20% of the population. They were like, I can't keep my weird foreign name. I got to adapt to the culture. We're going to change our first names. We're going to change our last names. We're going to adopt new anglicized names. We're going to drop our religion. We're going to become secular, or maybe we're going to convert to Christianity. We're going to learn the language. We're going to speak it right. We're not going to have accents. That means we have to stop speaking foreign languages at home, or else we're going to sound weird when we go to school. That's what integration looks like. People don't like that. This offends the boomer leaf lib sensibilities where everyone has to maintain their culture and homeland. No, integration means actually accepting, loving, and putting the local culture ahead of your own foreign culture that you left because it's worse than our society. So it works when the national, the home ethnic group is a supermajority. This works for any country, but it works in Canada. And again, the fringe elements, the radical elements of the movement might not like to hear it, but like even myself, I'm a positive example of this, right? I am as staunch a patriot as you will meet. There are a few people that are more proud or knowledgeable about Canadian history, Canadian identity than I am. And while I am a 12th generation Canadian with roots in this country back further than most people, back to 1649, on the other side of my family, I am a third generation immigrant. My grandparents immigrated here from two different countries. And like they are an example of a positive immigration story, right? They didn't sequester themselves into ethnic ghettos. They moved out of the big city into small towns. They raised their children on a small hobby farm. They embraced Canadian sports, Canadian names, Canadian culture. My grandfather, who immigrated here from Jamaica, loved this country. He loved this country, and he was a good man that was economically productive. He was an accountant. He provided professional services. He was a farmer. He built our family a cottage so we could enjoy the beauty of the Canadian wilderness, a critical Canadian experience for anyone. He taught me how to the important hobbies of any Canadian: fishing, canoeing. But he was an immigrant from Jamaica. He was proud to integrate into Canadian society. And his children, they all married heritage Canadians. They didn't stay sequestered in their own ethnic communities, only marrying other Indians and having Indian children. No, they married heritage Canadians. They had children. They married into the national fabric, assimilated intergenerationally into what is Canada. And that produced me. So immigration can be done successfully, but it needs to be done at levels with selection criteria to create the inevitability of integration. So that's what integration looks like in practice. So like you can virtue signal about it. Oh, we can have people from any skin color, blah, blah, blah. Immigrants are the real victims, all this stuff. But conservatives, civic nationalists, have no answer to the integration question. How do you do it? You can restrict government services. You can have harder tests. You can change it going forward. You can have stricter selection criteria, all these things to fix it for future immigrants. But what do you do with the Khalistani nationalists here? These people are not integrating into our society. Maybe some of them have jobs and stuff. Maybe they're economically independent. But they don't know our history. They don't love our history. They're focused entirely on a foreign movement. What do you do with these people? These guys aren't willing, the conservatives, these guys aren't willing to talk about deporting illegals. In this essay, she talks about one thing. She talks about removing non-citizens guilty of violent crimes. That's a group that they're willing to talk about deporting. But every illegal needs to be deported, right? Most of these asylum claimants, if not all of them, need to be deported. Many of these people who have abused our birthright citizenship need to be deported. And if you're not willing to talk about those groups, then you're not willing to have the difficult conversations that go around what integration, what enforcing integration actually means in a modern liberal democracy. Liberalism has no solution for this. So that's all I have to say tonight. That's all I have to say tonight, guys. Let's take some questions. Let's take a few questions and then I will wrap things up. The one other thing I wanted to say is people gave Michelle a really hard time for that article. And I think we need to be a bit more careful in how we respond to things. So many of the comments are just not good enough. We need remigration. We need remigration. We need. If you're not talking about remigration, you're not serious. We're not. I think we need to. You'll see my response. I was like, this is a good step in the right direction. I think we need to throw these guys a bit of a bone. Because if every time they talk about remigration or anytime they talk about immigration, they're just met with hate and hostility, that's not going to encourage them to talk about it more or better. I think we need to have a nuanced approach, throw them a bone while keeping their feet to the fire, not just being an angry mob every time they don't go and 100% to the Dominion Society position. Obviously, these groups are always going to lag behind us, right? That's how it works. There's the very far fringe, then there's us, then there's the CPC, and we all pull each other along the way. That's just how this works. They're never going to just catch up to us. And if they immediately caught up to us, we'd probably not be doing good enough. We'd probably be cocking out or something. So, we need to keep pushing them, but don't be so mean about it, guys. Okay, we'll do some questions. French stickers when? I don't know. We need to do another batch of stickers. We also need to make them bigger. So we can look to mix some French ones as well. Daniel, do you go duck hunting? Is this Arthur's alt account? No, I do not. I'm not a hunter. I have very limited. I've never actually been hunting, and I have very limited shooting experience. Arthur's a city boy. He's he's well trained. He's great at fetching. I think he would love to become a duck hunter. He is a duck hunting dog by breed. For those that are not aware, the Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever. But no, I don't go duck hunting. No. Mario Zelaya seems like a huge fan. Yo, our video making fun of Mario got banned off Facebook and Instagram for some reason. I'm appealing the decision. It's so annoying, so cringe. My family came here in 1850. I call myself founding stock Anglo-Chad. Is founding stock accurate? Do I have to arrive in the 1600s? Look, 1600s. I'll generation check you on this one, but 1800s is definitely still founding stock. But this is the nuance of Canadian nationalism, right? Because on one hand, I am a 12th generation Canadian. On the other hand, I'm a third generation immigrant. And where do people like me fit into this movement? Where do they? Some people think I need to be deported back to Jamaica. And yet my family has been here longer than most people. So, and then you'll get people who are maybe whiter than me, but they're the child of two post-war immigrants. Their family's been here for 3 generations. I have way deeper roots in this country, and I have a distinct connection to the Canadian nation. So people need to realize that the situation of Canadian nationalism is a bit nuanced, and if we're going to exclude people like me that have a distinct connection to the earliest settlers just because I don't meet the one drop rule, it's going to be difficult to build a coalition. Slamina Evil asks, question, Daniel, what would you do as PM if a nation you sent immigrants back to refused to take them in some manner, intercepting the plane, boat, etc., any form scenario. Well, there's going to be a lot of diplomacy involved in remigration. That's the inevitability here. There's some countries like India that don't allow dual citizenship. So there's lots of Indians, naturalized Canadian citizens living here that will not have their citizenship anymore. India could conceivably refuse to take them back because they are not Indian citizens. So there's going to need to be diplomacy. You know, this is a multifaceted thing, right? This is the reality of politics. There's trade, economics, there's military components. The reality is, I think, in a reality where we had a remigrationist nationalist government, we wouldn't be the only one, right? We would be one of many countries. Canada always lags behind. There'd be other countries that are doing it less efficiently than us as we start to catch up. It would be a matter of collaborating with other culturally similar countries, ethnically, historically, with it would be a matter of working with other countries with similar heritage to us that are going through the same problems, like the UK, like the US, like Australia, to increase our leverage in order to force these countries to take back their nationals. So they might refuse, but what are they going to do when boats start showing up on their shores? They're going to make their people starve on the boats. I don't know. There'll have to be some pressure from multiple different avenues to make sure they acquiesce to the situation. But the reality is, especially if we created an internationalist remigrationist bloc, we'd have a lot of control over the situation. My family came in 1836. Who can beat me? There must be someone in the chat that can beat me. 1649, guys. That's the line to beat. Jim the Crazy, thanks for the 279 super chat. DNR SPDR03 Canadian 95 with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Everyone likes to say that we need immigrants to work our low wage jobs, but why do we want to empower large foreign corporations that kick out local businesses and pay in high paying jobs from locals? You're totally right. You're totally right. This whole it's all just big business pushing this to undermine the Canadian labor market, drive down their costs, and we bear the consequences. Not only is it small businesses that get outcompeted by these large businesses, but it's Canadians who see their jobs, their wages depressed. Is third generation a bad thing? Am I getting sent back to Italy? Maybe. I've had some choice words about the Italians and the Portuguese and such lately. No, like despite the suggestions from the Hamilton Spectator, from the left, our remigration plan is not about ethnicity. It's really about immigration status and cultural compatibility. We advocate for remigrating, criminals, illegals, these groups, asylum claimants, birthright citizens who have abused our processes, and permanent residents, as well as citizens who compromise our national security and social cohesion. So it's not like, hey, show us your family tree. If you don't go back to XY year, you don't make the cut. That's not really what we advocate for. I do think it's important to preserve Canada's. I will be frank. I would not say that you're a heritage Canadian, but that doesn't mean that you need to go. You can still be an effectively integrated Canadian citizen and welcome in the project, especially if you're proud of our history and our heritage. If you don't, there are a lot of Italians out there that represent themselves more with Italy, that are more proud, that continue to speak foreign languages in the household, that continue to be more proud of their Italian heritage than their new country. And I do think that's a problem and undermines our social cohesion. But that doesn't mean everyone needs to go. I think we have much bigger problems than third generation Italians. Does DS have a big French-speaking population? Would it be beneficial for DS who can speak French to learn French? I think it's beneficial for all Canadians to learn French. It's important. It's a fundamental problem of Canada that the French and the English cannot properly communicate with each other, and nuance is lost in translation. We do not have a big French-speaking population. Obviously, we only do content in English, which has limited our growth in Quebec and amongst a francophone support base. So we do want to expand into Quebec. We do want to add francophones to our leadership team and push for a larger expansion into Quebec and promote more bilingual content. But yeah, I would encourage anyone to learn French. It's hard. It's hard without integrating and immersing yourself into a French society, moving to Quebec and actually forcing yourself to speak it all the time. You can only do so much with Duolingo. You think we would have to ask the Americans for help with deportations, planes, and possibly ICE for training? The Americans aren't that good at deportations, guys. This is such a weird, trumped up notion that because Trump got elected on a policy of mass deportations, that they're somehow good at it. Good at it. No, ICE stopped. ICE is withdrawn from every major operation that they've done. They stopped publishing their deportation figures. It looks like before they stopped, the Trump administration was deporting less people than the Biden administration before it. So like, I don't think the Americans have any sort of expertise that we need to draw on, but they do have economic power, military power that would help leverage in diplomatic situations. I would say that pre-Confederation counts as founding stock. Well, I mean, when we talk about heritage Canadians, we frame it around the experience of settlement, clearing the land, building the houses, building the schools, carving civilization out of wilderness. And the reality is that didn't stop with Confederation. Much of Northern Ontario and Western Canada was settled and built after Confederation by a wider group of European migrants. Still mostly people from Eastern Canada, people migrating of similar stock from the US, lots of people from the British Isles still, but larger proportions of Germans in particular, as well as Poles and other European groups that were further east. So we would consider all of these people heritage Canadians that have roots that went through that settlement process. It's not a Confederation cutoff for me. Ethan D, 1997, my friend. Thank you so much for the 6.99 super chat. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for your support. Any plans to release buttons, pins, or posters from future merch releases? We might do posters. Those would be pretty it's all about things that are effective to send in the mail, right? So posters, we'd have to figure out how to package that properly, especially if they're large. So I'm not sure what we do with that. Pins we use for special occasions, right? We're not going to start selling the pins. The pins are special symbols for our organization. We use them as awards and for special recognition of things. So we're not going to start selling pins. Maybe buttons. We more use buttons and stuff as giveaways at events and stuff. Do you believe that we should reclaim the original 13 colonies, as many of us that are descendants of the loyalists who fled them? Based people who know me know I'm an expansionist. I focus on remigration, guys. I try not to get pulled into these conversations, but I believe in expansionism. I want to see a greater dominion of Canada when we seize control. I believe that we should take back much of New England, much of a few of the northern states, some of Cascadia. These people are our people. I don't want the southern states. We don't need to deal with all the Mexicans and the African Americans down there. I just want those northern states, New England, that are culturally, that are basically our people, that are separated by an arbitrary line. I believe in a greater dominion of Canada, a beautiful expansion of our country and our power and our economy by reuniting our stock together. So yes, I absolutely believe in reclaiming some of the 13 colonies. Do you love Canada? I love Canada. I love Canada. I love my people so much. I love my people so much that I've given up my entire life to serve. And it's not a glamorous job. It might look fun and silly when I'm up here on a live stream and stuff like this, but a lot of it is hard work, guys. It's hard work. It's grinding. It's not glamorous. It's a lot of organization. It's a lot of grindy work. But I love my country so much, and it breaks my heart to see it disappear. So I will not let that happen. If remigration never happens, what do you think will happen? I think remigration is inevitable. It's just about how difficult it is. Oh no, Cunningham Bear, my friend Cunningham Bear 76 with the huge super chat, $100. Long live the Dominion Society of Canada. Thank you so much, Cunningham Bear. I appreciate your support always. I've sent you a small gift. Did you receive it, Cunningham? I accidentally lost my place. I might miss some questions. Okay, I found it. We caught up. Tristan beats me. He says, according to ancestry, one of mine, which could be wrong, died in Quebec in 1616. That's early, man. I don't know if anyone could beat that. Oh, my great grandparents came in 1800s from Ukraine. I'd say that counts as heritage stock. No, I mean it fits my timeline. Now, I will say the Ukrainians have been a bit of an issue. A lot of the Ukrainians have not have been here for a long time and have not integrated. They're very proud of their religion and or their culture, their Ukrainian festivities and so on. And Ukrainians are kind of one of the villains when it comes to the promotion of multiculturalism. It was the Ukrainian Congress and the Jewish Congress that advanced multiculturalism metapolitically before it was embraced by Pierre Trudeau and entrenched into policy. So I'm a bit sus. I can be a bit sus of the Ukrainian groups. That doesn't mean all Ukrainians. I'm sure Big Ponkley is a good guy. I'm sure he is a nationalist and a proud Canadian. But I will say I can be suspect of those Ukrainians. Another super chat from K Dan. Hope the lives keep coming. We need to hear what the DSOC or DSC, not sure which one you use, is all about. Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much for the support. Donations like this do help us do more all the time. I wish I could live stream every day. I just don't have the time. I hardly have the time to do this. Honestly, I should be doing other work right now. I am desperately behind on the update of our volunteer system that I really need to launch to streamline our operations. But I do like spending some time with you guys. These are a lot of fun for me as well. So thank you so much for your support. I will continue to do these. I've been doing a pretty good job, guys. Come on. Once a week. I've missed 2 or 3, but only when I'm doing other things for the society. I love how everyone's sharing their ethnic makeup now. I've created a safe space for everyone that's not narrowly Anglo-French, as we're often accused of being. Ethan D 1997 asks, what do you think about incentivizing people to leave based on how Canadian they are or aren't after people who shouldn't be here at all are deported? So we have that 11-step plan explaining exactly how we would go about this. And the first one are about removing those groups that shouldn't be here, these illegals, these criminals, these asylum claimants, birthright tourists who have taken advantage of our system. But the last few groups who are like those legal people are, one, permanent residents. So I believe that permanent residents are not citizens. They don't have full citizenship rights. So our proposal is to strip all permanent residents of their status. and re-audit anyone that's on that temporary status. A lot of these people are people like from countries like India, where they can't have dual citizenship, so they sit on permanent residency because they don't want to give up their other citizenship. So these people would just be stripped of permanent residency. If you want to keep your Indian citizenship, that's fine. Go back to India. But we'd strip those people of permanent residency and re-audit those people. Some of them we'd offer citizenship to, and they can stay. You know, if they fit into our society. Some of them would need to go back. But that would be handled on a case-by-case basis. It's hard to get good figures on how many people are exactly sitting on permanent residency, but it's a few million for sure. And then the rest would be about changing laws in order to revoke citizenship in certain cases. So particularly, we're focused on people who are threatening Canada's social cohesion and national security, because there's all sorts of things like rising gang activity, violent crimes, things like foreign gangs, the Bishnoi gang, the Chinese police stations, all these things that are compromising Canada's national security. If these people are citizens, they should have it revoked and they should be sent back. And then further, we need to promote and preserve our social cohesion. Particularly, what comes to mind are all these people that advance and push foreign political causes, foreign religions in our communities. If you're going to advance foreign causes within Canada, if you're going to threaten our national our social cohesion, I think this should be grounds to have your citizenships revoked as well. So that's how we would go about targeting people. It's not about like how Canadian, I guess in a sense it is about how Canadian you are, but again, it's not about ethnicity checking people. It's about preserving our culture. Still would like to get the red ensign pin. Mine never came. Send me an email. I'll look into it and I'll get you one. I'm sorry about that. Some of these things get lost in the mail. That's just the unfortunate reality of using Canada Post. So reach out to me, info@dominionsociety.ca, and I'll make sure you get you get the pin you're owed. Will I get the Sir John A pin next year when I renew? Yes. So all second year members, no matter when they sign up, will get the Sir John A pin. And then next year, when we have third year renewals, we'll also introduce a new pin. We'll do this on an annual basis. So this is the official pin for year 2 members, regardless of when you sign up. So people who sign up for the first year this year will still get the first year pin. Anyone who signs up as a second year member anytime, even 10 years from now, second year members will get the Sir John A pin, and so on. I think we're about tied, Daniel. My ancestors leave France around 1650, on which the first generations in the late 1680s. Nice. Good one. Hi, Natasha. Thoughts on Rabbi Mizrachi saying Fuentes is half cured? I don't even know what you're talking about, but thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the 279 super chat. I'm sorry, I don't follow the Nick Fuentes drama very closely. I don't have anything against him other than his anti-Canadian rhetoric, but I don't follow very closely. Maybe you've said it before, but what do you think of Maxime Bernier? Would he get a spot in your hypothetical government? I don't think Max would want to work with me anymore, unfortunately. I don't know if you know our past, but it's a little bit complicated. A reminder, if people do want to make donations, I do appreciate the super chats. They're lots of fun. But the best way to make donations is on our website, donate.dominionsociety.ca. YouTube takes a huge cut out of these super chats. It's like 30%. So more of the money goes directly into our pockets if you donate on our website. Although it is less fun, so I don't give you flack for however you decide to send us money. Every dollar helps, but the best way is on our website. Kurogain 416 BW2VB says, with the $5 super chat, thank you so much. Would you support redrawing provincial borders around geographic and cultural boundaries? This is an interesting. I really don't think this is the most important issue, to be honest. But I could see a redrawing of things. It's complicated. It would be politically complicated, right? Because there's a lot of the northern portions of a lot of the provinces could be incorporated into the territories. The thing is, a lot of those areas have a lot of natural resources, and the way that our constitution is structured, provinces get ownership over national resources, not the federal government, which is not something I actually agree with. But this causes them to want to keep boundaries the way they are. I do think that merging some of the provinces would probably make sense, but this would be such a contentious thing, and we really do have bigger problems. But I'd love to see your suggested map, Kuragain. I would love to see what you think the borders should look like. What about third gen from Italy, but served for 20 years, fought in the Great War? Yeah, exactly. We're not looking to deport people that are, effectively culturally integrated, proud Canadians that have been here for generations, right? We're looking to reverse the recent trends of mass immigration that have been so degraded. We're looking to send back mostly naturalized citizens, people that have been here. Now, if people want to leave voluntarily, another part of our plan is to offer a voluntary repatriation program. So government incentives, financial incentives, logistical support in order to help people return voluntarily, but be stripped of their citizenship status. This is something that has been tried in Sweden and Denmark. This is something that would be put forward. And yeah, if someone that's been here for a couple of generations doesn't want to be in Canada anymore because we're not as tolerant as what we once were or whatnot, then yeah, we'll proudly give them support to return back to their home country, wherever that might be, whether that might be leveraging our using diplomatic leverage to get them their citizenship back, or giving them a financial incentive, or helping give them a free plane ticket or whatnot to get them back to their home country. The overall goal is preserving Canada's demographics, right? So should the Welsh be considered human as opposed to what, sheep? The society still wants Canada to be 90% white, right? You want heritage Canadian supermajority. Yes, I think that should be the goal, making sure Canadians are 70, 80, 90% of the population here. Daniel, many people who should not be here would leave if the government stopped giving them anything and everything for free. Yes, the first step is to turn off the taps, no one else coming into the country, and to introduce push and pull, to remove pull incentives and introduce push incentives. So this is what it would look like. Right now, we're giving all sorts of money to people. We're giving access to our healthcare system, to our education system. We're giving free healthcare to asylum claimants, free housing to asylum claimants, wage subsidies to asylum claimants. We need to eliminate all of these programs. They're just pulling people here, encouraging people to come here. We need to get rid of all of them. As soon as these economic incentives turn off, they won't be able to live here anymore. They'll go back voluntarily. We'll also institute push incentives, though. We'll make it less comfortable to be a foreigner within Canada. This means cutting off government services in multiple languages. This means cutting off, not allowing new immigrants, even legal immigrants, to have access to our free healthcare system. They have to pay for it, because my family's been paying into the healthcare system intergenerationally, right? My family's healthy. We don't go to the hospital that much. We pay thousands of dollars in taxes every year. And maybe one of our family members goes once in a year. I went to the hospital this year because I needed a tetanus shot because a fucking pit bull attacked my dog and bit me while I was trying to get him off of my dog's neck. I didn't talk about that. This was a week that I was away. Crazy pit bull. That's the first time I've been to the hospital since I was like 12 years old, though, and yet I've been paying taxes my entire adult life. So yeah, no, if you've just arrived to Canada, even legally 5 minutes ago, you should have to pay for healthcare. Sorry. Um, and then instituting things like bans on religious symbols in the public service, like they've done in Quebec, banning all sorts of religious practices, like the call to prayer, like halal and kosher slaughter, all of these things. If they want halal meat, they can go to a Muslim country and enjoy halal meat. Like so it's all about, that's the first step. No more immigrants coming in, cut off the economic benefits, introduce a more hostile environment for foreigners to force them to either integrate or leave. Do collab with Rabbi Mizrachi. I don't know who Rabbi Mizrachi is, and I don't think I want to do a collab with a rabbi, but I don't know who he is. All the early prime ministers envisioned a white Canada. Yeah, for sure. They would not be able to conceive of the Canada we live in now. Traitors, what shall we do with with Canada's traitors? A lot of them need to be prosecuted under the law. That's very simple. How do we get positive publicity from media outlets? Do we partly play their game? You know, the strategy is more the optics trap, Cunningham. I don't think we're going to win over the mainstream media. There's a lot of raw. We get some positive coverage from like the alternative media and stuff like this, but I don't. We'd have to transform ourselves into something else, and even then, we would get negative media coverage. Right? The Conservative Party, who is super lame, gets mostly negative media coverage. That's just the reality of the situation. What we need to do is have a positive message, so that when the mainstream media reports on us, when they give us that platform, when they bring an audience to us, that audience is met with the optics trap. They come here expecting me to be some terrifying white supremacist Nazi, and I'm just a chill guy with a nice smile, with pretty reasonable, good ideas. That's the optics trap. We welcome negative coverage. There's no such thing as bad press. That's politics. That's like the first rule of politics. We welcome the negative coverage because we know it's false. And we know that it only attracts more people who are then disarmed by my charm and my good looks and my great ideas. So I'm not too worried about getting a positive coverage. When does the Don Cherry pin drop? I'm not sure. I can always use good ideas for pins. Third year Champlain pins. I'm always looking for good pin ideas, guys. I appreciate it. Ooh, the Terry Fox pin. Interesting idea. Let's just do his leg. just his metal leg. What do you guys think? That might be cool. Bernier is old news. Yeah, Bernier is done, guys. Like he's campaigning for Alberta separation right now. What the hell is that? When the hell is that? Isn't this supposed to be my nationalist party campaigning to break up the country? Insane. Don't forget to like the stream. Like, comment, subscribe, retweet, whatever it is. It all helps. Another big super chat from Jim the Crazy 69.99. Nice. Thank you so much for the big super chat. I really support it. You should open a Stream Labs so you can donate super chats for you and get 100% of it. I was not aware of this. Thank you for the advice, Jules. I will look into it. Streamlabs. I will do some research. I appreciate the advice because I would like to get more. I would like YouTube to stop undercutting me. That's for sure. Someone watched a video lately. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you guys watch my interview with my good pal Maxim Genest? We had a great interview. We did it a couple of weeks ago, but he finally posted it. It's a great interview. Go check it out. It's on his channel. It's on his Twitter account. It's on his Instagram, I think. Max Genest. Do you have the red ensign on a hat? No, we don't. Unfortunately, we've had to pause selling of the red ensign. I will get into that eventually. The government's coming after us, guys. I can't tell you. Question, brother. Can I ask? Yeah, I'll answer questions. Any new merch coming? Unfortunately, we were not able to deliver on that summer merch drop. We do have some things in the works for a fall merch drop once the weather starts getting cooler. You guys asked for the quarter zips. They're coming. Are there any DomCon merch in the works? I think we'll just be selling our normal merch at the event. I don't think we'll have any special DomCon merch. But maybe we should have something exclusive. Can we create a city in Quebec and name it after Samuel Champlain? I think there already is one. I'm pretty sure there's already a Champlain, Quebec. Yeah, there is. This guy doesn't know. Champlain, municipality in Quebec. It's just a bit north of Trois-Rivières, in between Trois-Rivières and Quebec City. Come on, Hatbot. Do you support a free and independent Alberta? No, not really. I believe in a united Dominion of Canada. I'm a thorough believer in John A. Macdonald's vision for a united Canada from coast to coast. So I agree with provinces' rights to move for separation. I think it's an important check on Ottawa, and I do think Ottawa has been very unfair to Alberta, and it's been a net negative for the entire country. But I don't want to see Alberta separate. I do believe that demanding it will put good pressure on the federal government to do better. And we're already seeing adjustments from that federal government. But it would be heartbreaking to me to watch Alberta separate from our country. And I don't think it's in Alberta's best interest either. I do think that Alberta's problems are best solved through our Dominion. Because the main problems are economic. It's about exporting effectively our natural resources, which would be in the benefit of all Canadians. But you're not in a better situation as an independent state about getting your resources to Tidewater. So I do think it's an important negotiating tool in order to get pipelines built, in order to properly export oil and natural gas. But I'm not a separatist. I'm a proud federalist. You let pit bulls around Port Arthur. Shouldn't you know this analogy? I wasn't even at the dog park. I was just walking through a normal park, and it just popped out of nowhere and got in a fight with Arthur. It was quite the mess. I was like literally, I was in a like this. I was literally walking the dog. I was on my phone approving some of the content around DomCon, and I look up and there's this huge 80-pound, 100-pound pit bull charging at me with the 80-year-old owner trying to chase after it. And I'm like literally trying to like kick off this dog and defend Arthur. I snatch him up because Arthur's not that big. He's like 40 pounds. So I just pull him by his leash right up into my hands. And this dog jumps up and clamps itself on Arthur's neck. And I'm just like in shock. I like chuck my phone away. I'm trying to pull its jaws open, but a pit bull's jaws, once it's locked in, it's like a vice grip. You can't even open it. So I got my hands all bloodied and stuff trying to pull its mouth open, and I just don't even know what to do. I just start wailing on it, punching this dog in the fucking face. It's not even reacting. I'm kicking it. It's making a big scene. There was a baseball diamond right over there. The whole baseball team comes running over because these dogs are snarling. My dog's now yelling because it just has this fucking pit bull on its neck. These guys come over with a baseball bat and they're hitting this dog with a bat until it finally releases the dog. It was crazy. Arthur's totally okay. He's totally okay. There was no real blood or anything that was drawn from his neck or anything. Afterwards, I did find some scabbing, so I guess he did have some very minor wounds, but there was nothing serious. But I did get some cuts and stuff from the dog's mouth, so I had to go get a tetanus shot, an updated tetanus booster. That's my pit bull story. So, total pit bull death is my new big political position. What are your thoughts on the monarchy? I'm not a big monarchy guy. I believe in it as a foundational institution of Canada. I'm big on Canadian heritage, and I think it's a beautiful symbol. And I think it's important to have a sort of structure, a nonpartisan structure above politics. For example, I really appreciated that the speech from the throne conducted by the king earlier this year. I thought it was a beautiful ceremony that really united people after an election. I think that's a beautiful example of how the monarchy should be used as a kind of unifying symbol that's rooted to our heritage. But I'm not a big fan of the Windsor family. And I do kind of like the concept of having our own distinct Canadian monarch. Are we going to talk about Greg and the Proud FM scandal? Go watch the last episode. We addressed it. I addressed it for like half an hour last week. I'm not going to keep digging it up every week. We addressed the situation and we're moving on. Is Dom Cherry speaking at DomCon? I will not be confirming or denying any of the potential speakers until they are announced. So maybe you have to wait and see. You should buy your tickets now just in case. Bernier is an old boomer libertarian. That's the truth is the truth. Conserve what pin? Maybe. You gotta spill the tea. Oh no, I can't tell you. What you said that the pins are discontinued. No, I can't tell you yet. It's all coming, guys. It's all coming. There's messaging, there's tactics, there's strategy. I can't tell you everything, guys. There's a lot going on. There's always a lot going on, but it's about announcing things at the right time, preparing things, going on the attack, going on the offensive, lulling people into a false sense of security. You guys have to trust the plan. I'll tell you I'll tell you exactly when you need to know. Nick Fuentes quarter zip? No, this will be a Dom Sock quarter zip. What are you guys talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for the 279 super chat, Matt K. 3926. What are the ideal next 5 years for the Dominion Society? A lot of growth. Building the grassroots, right? It's all about building the grassroots. We still need to establish, we need to expand our membership, and we need to build out our local chapters in every city and make them more robust and functional and consistently operating. I need to tour around the country, meeting everyone, growing the organization. We need to expand our membership from 3,000 to like 30,000. We need to develop our research team, right? We have a research wing, but it's very small right now. We need to build it. We have 7 distinct teams in mind, ranging from investigations to polling to white papers. We need to flesh out this entire structure into an almost think tank style wing of the organization. And we need to continue to build our professional staff in order to advance the movement. So I think it'll be very interesting. 5 years puts us after the next election, so that'll also depend on the results of that and the fallout that will inevitably come from the CPC's inevitable failure, resulting probably in a leadership race, maybe in a split of the party. This kind of chaos brings opportunity for us. So right now, it's more of a 3-year plan and setting us up to have an impact on the next election and to be in a strong position afterwards during the chaos that ensues. Diefenbaker was our best PM? No. It's all downhill after Sir John A. And a lot of the problems related to immigration started with Diefenbaker. He's the one that instituted the Bill of Rights. That's a precursor for the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that Americanized our society and shifted power away from Parliament towards unelected judges. A fundamental portrayal of the British parliamentary system. He was also a big proponent of kind of civic nationalism. He was mixed. He didn't have pure Anglo-French stock. And he was very self-conscious of his German heritage and promoted this kind of one Canadian policy that saw everyone, that betrayed our kind of foundational ethnic stock in favor of a more liberal concept of what it meant to be Canada. And as such, he started stripping away all sorts of illiberal policies that restricted immigration from certain countries that would lead to the mass liberalization of our immigration system. So while he is an important figure and an important figure to learn from, it's not really in a positive way. He was a failed nationalist. He was a civnat. He pushed back against America infringing on our sovereignty, but ultimately failed and got kicked out. He didn't accomplish much despite having a massive majority. The one big thing about Diefenbaker is, one, he championed our Red Ensign, and he was an incredible orator. So that's something that he's inspirational for, but far, far from the best prime minister. I'll have to do a prime minister tier list at some point. Did you have a chance to collab with Jeffrey Rath and Keith Wilson? I haven't been to Alberta in a while, and I'm not really a separatist, so like I don't know if they'd want to collaborate with me. We might have similar. Maybe they'd agree on some of my remigrationist positions, but I am kind of firmly against separatism. So, what's your reading list for Canadian culture? You can reach out to me by email, info@dominionsociety.ca. I'll send you my reading list. Band-Aid's fun. Thank you. Thank you, Cunningham Bear. They were pretty minor wounds. It was just annoying because I had to spend the evening in the hospital, all backed up. The Mr. Mac Rolls. Hopefully I got that right. I'm bad at reading these usernames. 699. Thank you so much for the super chat. Is Dominion headquartered in Hamilton? Do you think a conservative mayor and more conservative councillors would be more DomSoc friendly? We don't have actual headquarters, right? We all work from home. So my colleague there, Ken, my co-founder Ken, lives in the Hamilton area. So that's why we have such good operations out there, but we're not really headquartered anywhere. I hate dog owners that don't have the dog was on a leash. It's just this is like an 80-year-old woman with a 100-pound dog. So as soon as it starts pulling, she has no control over it. She has no way to control her dog, which is really unacceptable. See, Arthur, even if he's misbehaving, like I can just yank that dog. Like I can curl more than his weight. Yeah, pit bulls are banned in Ontario. But this woman was saying he's not a pit bull. He's not a pit bull. He's a lab boxer mix. Oh yeah, is that what the puppy mill told you? Is that what the illegal breeder told you? Let's get to the point. Greg stepping down, bro. You're behind. Go watch the last episode. I talked all about it. Chat is active tonight. There's a lot of people viewing this. Is this stream getting popular, guys? Are we going to undo the judge thing Diefenbaker did? We need to repeal the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's got much worse. Diefenbaker just started it. It was Trudeau that brought in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is way worse. Old Danny is real tough. Blocked us faster than Superman folding laundry. Yeah, I block people on social media all the time. You're not entitled to comment on my videos. If I think you're stupid, I'm gonna block you. It's pretty simple. You're not entitled to spew your stupid opinions on my posts. Which platform is Rachel Gilmore watching on? Rachel, are you watching? Evan, are you watching? Evan Balgord went to he went to report on the Greg situation last week. He sent me a request for comment. And they published it, and in the article, Evan says Tyree did not directly respond to. Let's see, I'll pull it up. Anti-hate. I'll note that they have not been able to produce very much content anymore because they got cut off from government subsidies. Let's see. Yeah, he said, when contacted by the Canadian Anti-Hate Network about the leadership change, Tyree did not address questions regarding the announcement. I don't know why he didn't include my comment, because I did send him a comment. He sent me this email. This is the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, blah, blah, blah. He asked me some questions. And I sent him a nice comment. I said, hey, Evan, here's my official statement. How are you paying rent now that Mark Carney cut off your subsidies for promoting hateful, divisive content? Genuinely curious. I don't know why he didn't print that. If you go to their website, they can hardly promote content anymore. Before their article on Greg, they hadn't released anything in over a month. I guess Evan had to get a real job because no one actually wants to support his terrible excuse for activist journalism, and the government didn't want to pay him anymore because he promotes hateful content. Do I need to open X just to block this annoying guy? Haha. Bye. Have you considered founding a women's branch? That's not really the priority right now. Like maybe that's something we'll do something in the future, but right now we have way too much work to do just building out the base. Our priority is really appealing to passionate young men. So yeah, I think those are the people that can relate with me the most, and so on. Maybe in the future we'll look to found a women's space as we bring in more. Like most of our women members are like girlfriends or wives of our male members. So maybe there will be some space to coordinate with them to create a space that they're comfortable with that can take advantage of their skills and so on. But really, our priority is just to build out the base of the organization, not start pandering to older people or women or different groups like this. We have a very coherent message that I think appeals to lots of people, but we have to build out the base. The idea what the current membership count is? It's like 3,100, something like that. Femsock, femdom. Okay. It looks like I got to the end of the questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you all for your support. I don't have anything else to say for tonight. I don't have any monologues cooked up. Haven't had time for that. Maybe sometime in the future. So, as a general reminder, please head over, get your DomCon tickets. DominionSociety.ca/DomCon. Get your general admission tickets for $150. Get your VIP ticket for $250. And if not, if you can't afford that, if you can't make the trip to Hamilton, make sure you're becoming a member. Sign up for the Dominion Society at join.dominionsociety.com. Sign up as a member. Get involved in our organization. Start being part of the change. Get involved in your local group chats. Get involved in your local organizations. We have 4 main volunteer teams. Wherever your skills are, I'm sure we can make use of them. So please do take the time, join as a member, get involved. Don't just watch a live stream. Are you really watching this live stream at this time of night and you're not even a Dominion Society members yet? You've watched me prattle on for 2.5 hours. Sheesh. I thought this was going to be a short stream. 2.5 hours and you haven't even signed up as a member yet. You owe me that. You owe me that. Sign up, $25 a year, get involved. Don't just complain on the internet, be a part of the change. Thank you for joining us tonight. I will see you next week. I think we're going to have Matt Baker on next week. You guys wanted to meet Matt. I talked to him about it. He wasn't available to come on tonight. I think he'll join us next week. So that's something to look forward to. Come on. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be back next Thursday at the same time. And most importantly, long live Canada.